You were born for this. And today is the day to discover exactly who you are, what you are meant to do, and how to turn that purposeful, passionate you into the person that is going to change the world. Hi, my name is Steve Kidd. I'm a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 37 books and counting, and I help people not only write, publish, and market their books to bestseller, but I'm here to help you really truly know who you are, define your passion, your purpose, the one thing you must do, and then use it, take it, and explode it out into the world, turn it into an inferno that changes the absolute world. You've got this, you can do it. I believe in you completely. And I'm so glad that you're here with us today. We are going to talk about first your passion. What are you passionate about? Now, often when we think of passion, we start thinking about Harlequin romance novels or things like that. And I'm not talking about that at all. I'm talking about that thing that gets you up in the morning. I'm talking about that thing that when the conversation comes up, you know, you go off, right? You could talk forever about it. It doesn't matter how you're feeling. You could be sick in the hospital, and if that comes up, you have an opinion on it. Okay. And it doesn't have to be political. For some people, it is. It doesn't have to be relational. For some people, it is. It doesn't have to be religious. For some people, it is. But it's the heart and soul and core of who you are. It's how you are and how you've always shown up in your whole life. It has shown peaked its head, if you will, throughout the course of the entirety of your life. It's been showing signs of it. If you're a giver by nature, going way back to, the youngest of your age, you were giving to people. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that your passion is giving. Your passion may be from something else that's in your heart. Okay, because we could go back and we could look at several different things. And if we just looked at one of those and falsely identified that as your passion, we could get you really off course here. So we want to make sure that we really understand the heart and soul and core of your passion. And I do want you to know that after you go through all three of these things, I have created a passion and purpose definer that's going to go through in an easy way and give you prompts and give you things that's going to help you really clearly define this if you don't know. But right now, I want to give you some insights, some little peeks into who you are. You already know who you are, but let's bring the pieces together. I'm going to use an example. For many of us, we are or were parents. All my kids are grown now, but often as a parent, you'll find yourself saying things over and over and over again. Okay. Now, there's two elements to this. There's the thing that's that passionate, that issue that you're passionate about, that thing you talk about all the time. Then whenever it comes up, the kids roll their eyes because it's like, oh, here goes mom again. Here goes dad again. Oh man, they're going off on that thing again, right? That's one piece of it. And that definitely shows you the heart and soul and core of your passion. In fact, if you don't know, ask your spouse, ask one of your kids, ask your best friend. What is the thing that if it comes up, I could talk nonstop about it? They know, they've seen it, they understand it, and they are, the people that love you, they'll be able to tell you in love the thing. And even if it's, something that they wish you wouldn't talk about, it's the core of who you are. And so I'll use an example, something easy. As parents, we often find ourselves telling our children, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. I grew up in a household. My mom was a great housekeeper, and our house was always clean. And I thought that's the way the world was. I had no frame of reference. And then my first wife, her mother was the complete opposite of that. Her mother had no problems leaving all of the dishes and everything from Thanksgiving dinner sitting there until Christmas. We'd come on Thanksgiving and make this great big giant meal, and then she'd pretty well just let things sit. And when we came back, we'd have to clean the kitchen before we could do Christmas dinner. totally freaked me out. I had no idea. All right. So often we say to ourselves, everybody, every parent, every good parent tells their child, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. Some don't. So that's first of all, we need to understand that just because it's common to you does not mean that it's common. Second of all, we need to go a little deeper. Why is saying clean up your room important to you? What are you trying to do with that? Are you trying to instill habits, good habits in your child? Do you just, like my first wife, did you grow up in a very dirty household and you just really do not want to live in that environment anymore? And so it's really about, creating the environment around yourself that makes you feel comfortable. I mean, so it's really more about you than it really is about the skill you're trying to teach the child. Is it something that was put onto you? Your parents always told you, clean up your room, clean up your room, clean up your room. You never really understood why, but then when you became a parent, you passed that on just thoughtlessly. You never gave it any thought. You just, well, that's how it's supposed to be. Okay. First, we need to take that thing that we find coming out of our mouth, and then we need to ask ourselves that deep why question. Why is that something that I say all the time? And is it important to me? Is it something that really ignites the fire in my soul? Is it something that I'm passionate about? Something that I know needs to happen? Something that is going to allow me to show up as the best version of myself in the world? That's passion. Our passion is the fire that's inside of it, and it's shown up every moment of every part of what you do in life. Maybe like me, maybe when you were a young child, at 5 years old, I started selling. And it was more than anything because of the passion that's in me for making a difference in the world. And I didn't understand this. I mean, I've done a lot of sales and done really well in sales, but I didn't understand that it was the passion to empower and change and spark change in people and bring out the fire within them that was the heart and soul and core and passion of who I am. And it's taken a lot of work for me to discover that. I didn't understand that that's why sales went so well for me, because I'd find a product, I'd believe in that product, and then I wanted everybody to have that because I wanted that improvement that it gives to them. You see what I'm saying? So we take that thing that we talk about all the time, and then we ask ourselves the deeper why. Why is this important to me? What does it mean to me? Why is that? It may be something that has to do with your job, with the stuff you do in this world. It may not. It may have nothing to do with what you're currently doing. It still is the passion of who, and it still is going to show up in that job. It's woven into every aspect of who you are and what you do in life. And so I want you to take some moments, because your passion isn't something you choose. Your passion is who you are. It's something you recognize. So when it comes to being undeniably, unforsakably seen in the world, to go from invisible to visible, you absolutely positively have to take the time to go inward and look at what is the core of who I am? What am I all about? What makes me tick? And then by doing that deep work, and again, like I said, we've got a custom GPT that we're going to share with you that you can most definitely use to be able to do that. But we need to ask ourselves, because that passion's always been inside of you. Every one of us is meant to be an inferno, and every single one of us has the spark. That passion is the little tiny spark that burns the world up. It's in there. Maybe it's something that lots of others and yourself have thrown lots and lots and lots and lots of cold water on. And it may be just barely fizzling as an ember, but it's there. And I promise you that if you go deep, if you begin to ask yourself the why questions, you will then begin to be able to define, this is what I'm passionate about. This is what I can't stop talking about. This is the heart and soul and core of who I am. This is what makes me tick. Now, so for this part, I encourage you to just write the one sentence. And again, we're going to be going live with all these, right? So go out live. Your 5 second, your sentence stem is, I am passionate about, and then just say whatever you know at this point. If you're still going deeper, if you're still doing it, say something. Take this time. We need to be visible. In order to be visible, you've got to be visible. In order to be seen, you've got to be someplace where people can see you, right? So don't spend the next 6 months trying to define your passion. Begin to speak out what you know right now of your passion. It'll grow. If you begin to feed the fuel of that little ember, it will, I promise you, grow into a bonfire that will catch the world on fire. So I encourage you, go right now, put out into the world live, I am passionate about, and then tell us what you're passionate about. Okay, so segment 2, purpose. Ooh, I love purpose. Purpose is taking your passion and using it for what you're meant to do. It's how your passion is meant to show up in the world. You could have two people that are passionate about, I'll go back to the example that I used when we were talking about passion. You could have two people that are passionate in the phrase, clean up your room. And for one person, they're passionate about it because deep, deep inside of them, and I've met some, both ladies and men, that the heart and soul and core and passion of who they are is about empowering young people. And that starts at home. They want their kids to be world changers. They are, that supportive teaching steward of young lives. I have a friend that's a kindergarten teacher, and she does an amazing job with these kids of helping them see how powerfully cool and important they are. That's big stuff. That's good stuff. Okay, that's one person that's saying clean up your room. The other person that's saying clean up your room may be in a completely different space. It may be just simply, they're saying that, and it's not the passion of who they are at all. Their real purpose in the world is to allow people to break free. And they have to break free themselves first. And they're caught in the chain of somebody else had put on top of them. You absolutely have to have a clean room. I can tell you one of the most freeing things ever in my life was when I realized I didn't have to make my bed. It's not that I can't. It's not that I don't sometimes, but it's not a have to. The world is not going to have anything less than in the world if I get out of the bed and I go and start doing stuff and my bed lays unmade all day. I know you can be shocked. You can think all the things you want to about me. That's totally fine. I don't care. And see, when we begin to free ourselves from those chains that other people put on us, that then frees our passion. In that case, and you may find that when you free yourself of that passion, you begin to discover just how highly of a creative you are, just how much of an empowerer you are. And that those little things, I was going through a new course that I'm creating. It's actually a couple of segments ahead of where we are right now. And I was realizing that really for me, I want to and need to ignite the spark inside of you. And one of the things that really drags me down is, administrative, mundane, repetitive kind of tasks. I need to be in that creative space so I can come to you powerfully and I can ignite the passion in you. And I can help you then see how that passion turns into purpose. And you can then look inwardly and say, yes, this is what I'm meant for. And you can show up as the best version of yourself in the world. And when I'm doing those things that I'm not meant to do, those things that drive me crazy, they drag me down. They drag my power, my energy level, all of that down. And I don't show up as my best in the world. You see, your passion ignites you. And when you let your passion out, it then must find a purpose. Purpose is where you direct that passion to make the difference that only you can make. Behind your fire, your passion is there to serve or solve something. There's an old phrase, I heard it first from Lisa Nichols. I don't know whether it originated with her or somebody else, but it's the phrase, what you're doing in this world is only as good as you give it away, only as good as you use it. Yes, use it for yourself, use it for others. Your words are only as powerful as you speak them. You can have rolling up in your mind all the most empowering, powerful things ever that any man or woman has ever thought of in the whole entire world. And if you don't share them, if you don't jump on and go live, just like I'm doing right now, just like I'm telling you to do every single day, if you're not doing that, those words, they're not doing anything. They're not making any kind of a difference. They're just bouncing around in your head like a pinball in a pinball machine. Have you ever played pinball? For those of you that, haven't, you know how you can get stuck in a place where it's bouncing back and forth, but it's not really making you any points? You can get in a place where it's bouncing back and forth between bumpers and you're getting all kinds of points. They're just going, but you can also get stuck in a place where it's just bouncing back and forth between bumpers and it's not making you really any points at all. Passion without a purpose is like that. It's just bouncing around. Words in your head are like that. They're just bouncing around. They have to be brought out. What is your passion meant to do? What are you going to use that fire inside of you to do in this world? The what is very, very important. I almost was going to say it doesn't matter, but the what does matter. It's extremely important. But what's important in it is that you do it. If you do close to that and you have to continue refining it, doing something is much better than doing nothing. There's an old saying that says it's much easier to steer a moving vehicle than it is to try to turn a parked car. Think about that one for a minute. Go out to your car, don't turn it on, don't even turn the key in the ignition, so the steering wheel's locked, and then try to turn it sideways. Go to a complete 90-degree angle. All right. Now, and I'm not suggesting you do this because it can be dangerous, but if you were to be going 60 miles an hour down the road and you yank the wheel right to the right, you can turn almost on an immediate 90-degree angle instantaneously. Now, if you're going 60 miles an hour, the car is probably going to roll. That's why I'm saying don't do it. But it's really easy to do that turn when you're moving. It's very difficult to do that when you're stopped. Do something. Use your passion that you've defined as clearly as you've defined it so far. Use it and start doing things right now. Don't wait. It's not about spending all the time defining all these things and everything that I'm going to walk you through and then getting to that point. It's about taking action right now. Your prompt is, my purpose is to use my passion for. So we already talked about I am passionate about. So you're passionate about that. Okay, take that and then say, how can I use that? How can I use that to make this world a better place? How can I use that to impact lives? How can I use that to make a difference in this world that only I can make? Passion for passion's sake is just fire not attached to anything. It's like fire floating in the air. It's not creating warmth. It's not creating light. It's just floating. It's doing nothing. It's like fire under a glass and it's going to extinguish. Because as soon as all the air is gone out of whatever the area that it's in, air is one of the things that fuels the thing. Okay? Purpose is what fuels your passion. You want to be even more passionate about something? Use it. Use it in the best way that you can know how. So our prompt is, my purpose is to use my passion for. Give us one thing, only one. Just do one thing that you're going to use your passion for. Okay, again, we're going to go live. Turn on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. 5 seconds. My purpose is to use my passion for. and go do it. Okay? Next, we're going to talk about your one thing. What must you do? There's hundreds of things you can do, but what's the one thing you absolutely have to do? If you are in an airport, okay, so we've talked about how passionate you are. We've talked about how to channel that passion into purpose, into doing something. Now we want to really, really rein it in is the word that I was going to say, but I don't totally like that concept. We want to really unleash it in a direction, okay? Like a focused laser. You know, light that's in a great big spectrum, it just kind of shines all over the place. But when we focus it way down in, we can bring it into a beam of light that can cut through things, that can give guidance, that can do all those kind of things. That's what our one thing is. If you were sitting next to somebody that was going through a problem that you absolutely know you could help with, of all the things you know you want to share with them, what's the one thing you have to do? What's the one thing you must say to them? It goes back again to a little bit to what we talked about in passion. That thing that you're always talking about. Now, how do we take that thing we're always talking about and how do we channel it through the purpose that we defined into a message, into a thing that we have to show up for? This is where we begin to start creating clarity. Clarity is powerful. When we spend the time to get clear, to say to the world, you know, we've said, this is what I'm passionate about. This, I'm going to use my passion in this purpose. And now, what is the one thing, the distilled essence of your calling, the bringing it all down into a very, very simple, easy to follow one thing? Because when we try to do 20 things all at once, we end up failing at all of them. When we're all over the place, when we try to talk to thousands of people, we talk to nobody. But when we talk about that one thing, that's why in all of these lives, even though I'm taking them from different angles, I'm really just talking to you about being visible and valuable. Visible, valuable, visible, valuable, visible, valuable, visible, valuable. It's going to show up in your book, in your signature talk, in your going lives, in everything you do. It's about visibility and valuability. When you're visible, you're valuable. If you want to be seen, you got to go out and be seen. When you want to be heard, you've got to speak. If you want to no longer be the best kept secret, you got to stop hiding yourself. You got to stop being the best kept secret. You got to stop claiming that you're the best kept secret. What is the thing you must do? Not the thing you can do, could do, are doing, but what is the thing you must do? If everything else was taken away from you, what is the one thing you can't let go that you have to make sure you do? Yes, this is about creating your legacy, and it's about being the ultimate you that you are in the world. But it's also really just about clarity and about taking that purpose and turning it through the passion that is you into the shift that changes the world. I absolutely must do this thing. This is the one thing I know. That will probably change over your life. I love it. My granddaughter, Tia, when she was about 8, she wrote a book, and it was called Meeting Her Friend. And I'm trying to think what her friend's name even is now. She's a few years older than that now. She's a teenager now. But that was the one thing she knew. She knew she had a best friend, and she knew just how cool it was to have a best friend. She wanted to share with the whole world. Now, there's some deeper things in there, and as she's growing and as she's going, she's going to learn more of that. Same thing is true with you. I mean, if you don't know what the one thing is, make yourself a list, okay? Make yourself a list. Here's the 2, 5, 10, 20, 3,000 things, whatever. I mean, hopefully your list isn't 3,000. but whatever, of all the things that you know you could do. And then just take them. So let's say the list is 20 things. Let's make it a manageable list. Please don't make a list of 3,000. I mean, if you really do come up with 3,000, let's talk. But make a list of like 20 things. And then just look at them. And it doesn't matter whether you go bottom to top or top to bottom. Number one and number two. Between number one and number two, which one, if I could only do one of those two, which one is more important to me? Okay. And then just choose, mark one of them off. Okay. So let's say number one is more important. Number one and number three, you do the same thing all the way down the list until you've gone through and until there's just one thing on there. And boom, guess what? You have created your one thing. And as you learn and as you grow and as we go through this process, you may find that it was one of those other 20 things is really, and you may find what you're going to find. You may not, it's not just a may find, you will find is that's going to get more clear and more concise and more powerful. And you're going to get some wording and some verbiage and some languaging that goes around that that's going to make it show up even more powerfully. And you're going to use that to make a difference in the world. Once we eliminate all the other things that are possibilities and we just grab a hold of that one thing, because more than anything, the one thing is about just taking something. You grab this thing and you hold on to it like I just did with my phone. Doesn't mean that it's the end of your life. And if something better is more clearly who you are, you can't pivot. But again, we want to get the vehicle moving. So we're going to pick the one thing and then we're going to move in that direction. We're going to value it. And we're going to start sharing it with everybody that we come in contact with, rather than trying to tell them 20 different things, rather than trying to create 6 programs and a do-it-yourself program and a done-with-you program and a done-for-you program and a group program and just one thing. Eventually, you'll have all of those other things. Your one thing will show up in multiple different places and ways and styles and formats to meet the people. But right now, we got to break it down to really, really simple. Okay? It needs to be simple enough that you can then use this prompt. The one thing I was born to do is, okay, you've got the phone right there in front of you. You're going live and you're going to say to the world, the one thing I was born to do is, and you're just going to declare it to the world. And if you come back 2 days from now and you say, you know what, I was wrong. The one thing I was really actually born to do is this. Nobody's going to go, you know what, you keep changing your mind every other day. You know what people that are really, truly meant to be your people are going to say? They're going to be like, wow, I see the development of that. You see, I could look at my own life, the last 38 years. I've been a marketing company all of those 38 years. There's been probably 25 different names of those companies. Back in 1986, we were selling out of great big giant catalogs, audio and video equipment. And then we moved into, because the laptop computer came out, selling laptop computers. Because we were no longer doing audio and video equipment, and the reason why I was doing that is because I was the lead singer in a Christian rock band. I really was just a musician that was trying to supplement my income and try to find a way to provide for my family. And I happened to actually have a very close friend of mine that ran a sound reinforcement company. And when he then moved for about a year and a half, 2 years, he was out of town. I had some contacts and some people because I was basically doing both installs but sales with him. Okay. Throughout all of that, the marketer, the salesperson, the empowerer that I truly am, all those things that I've talked to you about, my passion, my purpose, and all those things, they were just clarifying. They were just saying, hey, here's this element of you. Why do you love being on stage? I thought it was because I was born to be a star. And I told the whole world what an amazing, incredibly cool star I was. And then I had to discover that really it wasn't ever about me. It was about how passionate I am about empowering you. And then I get up on stage or I go live like this, and I do it on purpose to make the difference in your life, because that's my one thing. I want to show up every day in your life and empower you to know that little spark inside of you is a burning inferno that's just waiting to happen. So we're going to do it. We're going to go live. We're going to say, the one thing I was born to do is, okay? And then if you come in and you join the group, you will get the Passion and Purpose Definer, and it will allow you the capability to go through each of these things in much more detail, and we can help you with it. And if you need more help than that, ask, say, hey, I really need clarity in the group, and we're going to get you the clarity that you need to show up in the world and be the best version of yourself that you were born and meant and created to be. I want that for you. I want to see you be all that you can do. Herb, I'd love to hear more about NJ Lobster Films. NJ Lobster Films, New Jersey Lobster. That could be cool. I'd love to hear more about that. That's cool. Please do share all that you are with the world. Today's the day to go live. Make sure that you maximize while it's called today. And on behalf of the world, thank you for spending the time today to be the best version of yourself, to show up powerfully, and to be all that you can be. Thank you for doing that. Till we're together again next time, have a great week.